Now let's bring in our next guest, Matthew Johnson, a good friend of the income generation. Matthew is the owner of Johnson Wealth and Income Management, a retirement income store located in Iowa. He's a radio host and host of the YouTube channel, The Capitalized Life. Matthew, thanks so much for being back with us today.
Hey, you're welcome, Dave.
Hey, Matthew, it's great to see you. We just covered in the show, total return equals income plus growth. So give us your idea on how you convey to your customers, how do we explain the difference between income plus growth? What's the difference there, MJ?
Well, I think so many people, they tend to think that growth is just capital appreciation, but they tend to forget you can grow your money the old-fashioned way through interest and dividends. You know, thinking back in history, how many millionaires have we seen that have passed away? And when we studied what their investment philosophy was, it was that safe, steady return of interest and dividends on their principal, compounding year after year. And we can't forget that it's exciting to put points on the board, but there's other ways that you can grow your net worth as well.
Okay, I agree with you on that. But how do we explain the income part of the equation then? That might be the growth side, but how do we convey the income side?
Well, the income side is going to be more contractual. It's going to be more steady. You know, there's a universe of tools that are out there that we can put our money into, our principal that we've worked so hard for, that will provide us that steady stream of interest and dividends as long as we're holding those fixed income type investments. And as we get older, we know that the cost of living is likely to be going up. We see the trend of what's happening. We know that we're going to need to potentially draw more and more from our principal. And have income. So the question becomes, do you want to cannibalize your principal in order to get the income, or do you start to transition your principal into the production of income so you get more of an output naturally and consistently month after month?
Matthew, as usual, some great words of wisdom. Thanks for being back with us here. Time to welcome our next income specialist, our good friend Sam McElroy, CEO of Stride Financial, a retirement income store in Chicago, Illinois. Sam, thanks so much for being back with us here on The Income Generation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's my pleasure.
Hey, Sam, you know, you've got a background in psychology, and we know that everybody has a financial depth perception. But when you're within 5 years of retirement, a lot of investors, pre-retirees will feel that they want to have some more money in growth. Is that a misconception or a misunderstanding? Because eventually they need to transition to income, correct?
Yeah, they absolutely, investing for growth at the end of the day is a two-step process because ultimately you have to find a way to transition into income. And it's a question of when you do it. And this is an area where, our psychological processes wreak havoc in our financial decisions, because not only is it an opportunity for the whole casino analogy where when things are going well, you have no reason to think it's ever going to stop. And so people end up waiting too long and then they miss the boat. But if we think about what happens psychologically, it sets the whole tone for retirement because it erodes your confidence. When you make this big mistake and now you end up being double-minded and you're guessing all your other future, decisions that you have to make around financial things, it becomes really problematic because you're always thinking, well, I did this before and I thought it was going to work out this way, but it didn't. So can I really trust myself moving forward? And confidence is the main thing that allows us to enjoy the freedom to spend money in retirement. And if that's gone, you may have money, but you may not enjoy it.
Sam, thanks so much for being back with us. It's been our pleasure. Let's welcome our final income specialist, Michael Eastham, a great friend of the income generation. Michael is founder of Fellowship Financial Group, a retirement income store located just outside of Orlando. He's also Amazon best-selling author of the book, Common Sense Income Strategies. Michael, thanks so much for being back with us on the show.
It's always good to be here, guys.
So Mike, how do we explain income disparities between fixed income investing and growth investing to our customers? How do you do that?
Well, thanks for asking. That's a great question. And it's always good to be here with you. One of the things that I always find is that it's the classic tortoise versus the hare mindset. Everybody wants to be the hare in terms of speed and growth and all those exciting things. But they don't recognize the fact that that the tortoise, who's just plodding along, making consistent, regular progress, is the one who is really going to end up winning the game in the end. Why? Because it's less stressful. It provides consistent income, even if you don't need that income, the benefit is that income compounds on itself. And then year after year after year, you end up with more income at the end of your working years. So when you're ready to retire, you have a larger chunk of consistent income. So that's one of the easiest ways that I've found that that we can explain it to our clients, and they start to get it. But it's a mind shift for a lot of people because they've grown up in the .com era. They grew up in the technology era, where it's all about growth. It's 12 to 15%. If you can't get it for me, then I'm just not interested. We have to change that mindset, and that's what we try to do with folks in our office.
Michael, thanks so much for being back with us here on the Income Generation. It's been our pleasure as usual.